Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and welcome and welcome to the third show. That's right. I'm your boy Smitty. Of course, I got my boys with me, Troy, Shannon, and the outstanding, wonderful young lady, Beatrice, who's doing an outstanding job with all our video stuff. Before we even get started, make sure you check out Mrs. Beatrice's work. She's got a film coming up. She's doing incredible things. She's the responsible person for our water logo or whatever you call that thing. I'm not too tech savvy with that stuff, but she created that. She edits all our stuff and puts it out there so you guys can see it and makes it look very professional, like we actually know what we're doing. So shout outs to Miss Beatrice. Look at our stuff. Thank you for joining us. It's a fabulous Monday. You know how the show gets down. It's the third show. Each of us get a question. Our guest gets 3 minutes to answer each question, and then the guest gets 3 minutes to get on the soapbox and talk about whatever they want to talk about. You can find us on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're everywhere. And then you can also find us separately on our personal endeavors on our social medias. So with all of that said, we'd like to welcome our guest this evening. And he is Mr. Johnicon George. He's the president of the Tri-City chapter NAACP. For folks that aren't aware, NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. So just because you ain't black don't mean you ain't colored and you ain't a person. So he could be representing you. All right, Tri-City, I'll let him tell you where the Tri-City covers. So we're just going to jump in. Mr. Johnicon, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Smitty. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here and break bread with you.
Thank you, sir. Could you just right quick before we get into the questions, what area does Tri-City cover?
Fairfield, Sassoon, and Vacaville.
Fairfield, Sassoon, and Vacaville, people. You heard that. If you have any concerns or something you think NAACP should be involved in for any matters you have, feel free to reach out to Tri-City NAACP. Got that? There we go. Hey, first question. Troy, my man, it's on you.
Sir, once again, thank you for hanging out with us tonight, Johnicon. We appreciate it. So the idea of what the NAACP as a whole gets people a little confused. And my question is more giving out information, is more informational than anything else. But could you let everybody know what it is that Tri-City and not necessarily just Tri-City, but the NAACP is about?
Well, the name pretty much speaks for itself, the advancement of colored people, but in a whole, the way it breaks down, so, and it's almost like our government. So on a national level, we have Derek Johnson, who's the president and CEO. And that's like your president, Donald Trump. And then from the national level, then you have on a state level, you would have like our governor, Newsom. Well, on our state level, we have President Alice Huffman, and she covers California, all of California and Hawaii. And then you would go from the state level to a local level, and then you have like a Mayor Lori Wilson, and then so all of your branches within the state is your local branch presidents. And so from a national level, the national level of NAACP, we deal with a lot of legislative things. We have a legal department. So for example, if I had a case, so right now we're getting ready to go up against Budweiser. And right now we have around 14 complainants in the Budweiser plant down here in Vacaville, Fairfield. And so on a complaint at that magnitude, we're going to reach out to our national legal department to give us assistance. And so you look at the NAACP on a national level, they're out there doing, they're making changes, on a larger scale level. And that's in terms of making affecting legislation. And then you look at it on a state level, and then Alice Huffman as well. She's always up in Sacramento lobbying. Where we do our resolutions. Our resolutions actually. Every year we have what we call a resolution training. So presidents from each chapter, either if it's 1 year it's in Northern California, the next year is in Southern California, just to be fair. And so each branch will present we'll present a resolution. So if this, we want to go up against, we want to make changes, in the way law enforcement do the no stop, no frisk, or whatever that is. I'm just throwing something out there for an example. And so each branch will present their resolution. And then the state, at our state conference, we will get together and we'll say, hey, well, you need to add this to that resolution. We need to add that to that resolution. That resolution doesn't make sense. Come back with it next year. So as a state body, we'll decide which resolutions we want to present at the national convention. And then the board of directors of the NAACP will look at all the resolutions that's presented. And then again, it's their task to go and make those changes. Or the lobby for those changes. So that's kind of how on a broader scale, but then you get on a local scale, and we're in the trenches. And so we do, all the gritty work. And so someone calls me up and say, hey, this guy at the school district is in charge of, investigating civil rights complaints or discrimination complaints. Well, he's, a known, he's a known racist. And so then that's when your local level will go up against those, go up against those claims. So that's pretty much in a nutshell how it works.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Brother Smitty?
Outstanding answer. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, they are present. NAAC is present. He just broke it down to you how the chain hierarchy goes. So get involved. Mr. George, my question is this, and I think it's so important now that we touch on this real quick. The movement that we're seeing today in society, I like to refer to as the social justice movement 2.0, just a spinoff from the 60s civil rights movement that was fueled and pushed by young folks. So my question to you, sir, is how does the local Tri-City chapter and its other surrounding affiliates like Vallejo, Sacramento, whatever the case is, but since it's just you, how do you plan to be more visible in our schools, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools in general? How do you see going forward to get it more visible?
Well, one of the things that I personally do is when I come in contact with any youth, and actually there's an organization, Leaders of Men, they had a program mentoring in the park this past summer, and I spoke and I gave a challenge to the young folk in their organization, and it was twofold. It was the first thing was to watch the Netflix documentary 13, which is based on the 13th Amendment. And then the next challenge was to watch the PBS documentary called The Children's March. And the Children's March was definitely about what you just said, how the children in Burlingame, Alabama defeated the bigot Bull Connor. And so the reason why I want them to watch that so they can know exactly, so they're not looking through tinted lenses, their lenses are very clear of what the state of America is, and they're very clear who and what it takes to defeat racism and oppression. And so one of the things I had them do was to write an essay, and the first, the best essay, won an award, the second place, third place, but actually everyone, I think the first place was going to receive $100, second place, 75, third place, 50, but anyone that did an essay would get $25 gift card. And then the third piece of that is to pre-register to vote. And 16, 17-year-olds, they could pre-register to vote. And what does that mean? Once they register to vote, they just sit back. Once they turn 18, their registration automatically kicks in, and they're able to participate. So that's that's what everywhere I go, every opportunity I give that challenge out. But here's the other thing. This past February, I made it the NAACP made it our mission to go and participate in every Black History Month BSU celebration, Black Student Union celebration in our jurisdiction. And I was from Fairfield, Sassoon, and Vacaville. And so, and actually, we had two going on at the same time, and I called my man Smitty, can you handle this one in Vacaville? Because that's your, that's your stomping grounds. And sure enough, you stepped up, and the kids were, you blessed those young folks, they, sent me texts and just told me how, they had a good time, you came and you spoke truth. And so that's how we do it. But so here's one of the things we were planning on taking that to the next level, but then COVID hit like a month later. And so interesting enough, in Fairfield, Sassoon Unified, I had a meeting with the superintendent just Friday, and we're trying to see how we could, go ahead and continue that work virtually until the schools open back up. So, and then, I've been trying to get our youth council out for the last 4 years. Every time when we have our youth event each year, our annual youth event, just like the one in February, you see it always pack the house. 4 years in a row, it's always packed the house like that. And then it takes supporters like you and Mrs. Russell, who say, you know what, I'm going to pay for, I'm not thinking, you guys pay for probably about 10 youth to join the NACP. So it's going to take our community. It's going to take us to continue to, engage the young folks, because we got to pass the baton off to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And I can attest that Mr. Johnicon did attend the BSU meetings, and he did call me, and I did attend Buckingham Charter, and it was amazing. So thank you for that. Mr. Shannon, sir, you're up.
Brother Johnicon, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How's it going, my man?
Okay. Well, knowing that this is a trying time with elections and everything taking place, and knowing that Tri-City is getting ready to hold their election, and you running for re-election, my question for you, when it comes to the NAACP, which has a long history, and we all know the history, being president and being reelected, what do you plan to do in the community to show that Tri-City is more active instead of reactive?
So let me put this out here, make this clear. So some of you may or may not know that I'm currently in school. I'm pursuing a law degree. And so, and I just started my own business, which is starting to pick up. And so at the beginning of the year, I had this plan to transition out. And, I spoke with a few people to see if they were ready to pass the baton. Some didn't work out. So then I got this young lady who, I thought it was going to work out. I took her under my wings and started preparing her, to be my, predecessor. And so she got cold feet, because one of the things that happened, she thought, as we grew closer to election, that I, should have brought it down a notch, but it was just a different, we just kept taking it higher and higher and higher and higher. And so she felt that she wouldn't be able to keep the momentum going. And so she bowed out. And so actually I didn't even plan on running. We just had our nomination report last Saturday, and no one decided to run. So, the last 4 years we boosted our visibility in the community. We become more financially stable, and so that's just something that I wouldn't just walk away from and just leave, that kind of legacy to anyone. And so they got me for another 2 years, but we're really serious about, passing the baton. And so, past President Young, who was a generation above me, passed it off. And so maybe it's just a sign that, is I should pass it off to that next generation, like Ayanna Brown. And so we're going to continue. Our theme is that, am I 1 minute over? I got 1 minute left. Okay. And so our theme this year is unmasking injustice everywhere. Our gala that you attended, it was a masquerade ball. And so we're unmasking injustice everywhere. And so we're not holding any punches. you know, whenever something comes up, we're going to speak to it, you know, with no, you know, no if, and, buts about it. And so we're going to continue to boost our visibility. Folks know we're out in the community. You know, this last, we had an incident with Fairfield Unified School District. And, you know, I found out that we don't have to be everywhere. Folks are calling on us, you know, so I didn't know what was going on at the Vacaville Unified School District with the ethics department, but I had teachers, administrators, and parents calling our office. And so it's out there. Folks know we're here. And so folks are starting to watch their step, watch what they're doing. And that's what it's about, you know. It's about this. I say this to close out this question. It's about making the comfortable. It's about troubling the comfortable and comforting the troubled.
Thank you, Brother Johnicon.
Hey,
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate that answer, and I love that that uncomfortable. I love that. All right, my man, you got 3 minutes to go on and tell the good folks anything you want to tell them, man. It's all yours.
And so I'll just continue on with that last question, you know, and also just to speak a little bit more about Smitty's question. You know, I'm real serious. Everyone know that that was one of my goals. Those last 2 terms, the last 4 years, is to reinstate our youth council. And it's very important because, again, it was the children in Birmingham, Alabama that defeated Bull Connor. And it's going to be the children in this civil rights era. And you're absolutely right, Mr. Russell. You know, I tell everybody all the time that we're in a great, you know, place right now, you know, where that we're witnessing. We already heard about the 60s, you know, learned about the 60s civil rights movement. We're actually in one right now. We're participating in one right now. And what I tell our members all the time is that, you know, I look forward to the day when I could talk to my grandkids, I could talk to, you know, people about the work that I did, that I affected in the civil rights movement of the 2020s and beyond. And you know what? Even in the 60s, you know, although Martin Luther King was, you know, the face of the movement, you know, Rosa Parks, you know, did what she did to, you know, to ignite things. There was, I can't think of the young lady's name right now, the woman's name right now. She was all right with just making lunches for the marchers, you know. So there's so many civil rights heroes that we don't read about and we don't know about. And they was fine with that. As long as they gave those individuals, those individuals on the front line what they needed, they was okay with that. And so it's going to take everybody in this era as well. You don't always have to be on the front, you know, on the forefront. You know, one of the things that we got to learn, you know, is whoever the community, you know, decide to lead that movement, we need to come behind that person and support that person instead of, you know, saying, I don't like that person, I'm going to go start my own, or I don't like that person, I'm going to make, you know, his or her life a living hell. We have to figure out how we're going to support the movement. And if it is, you know, hey, you know, we're going to be, and even back then, you know, you had the nonviolent civil rights movement, and you had our brother that said by any means necessary. And I think I got a little bit of both in me. So even if we do, you know, splinter off like that, we need to know how, we need to know that we need to call on one another. And, you know, I got a call from City Hall, from the vice mayor in Vacaville, you know, inviting me to a table and actually invite me to facilitate a meeting, moderate a meeting, you know, invite the NACP at the table. I said, well, hey, is this brother in Vacaville there? Is Smitty at the table? Is Shannon at the table? Because they're the ones who got their finger on the pulse of Vacaville. You know, if you want NACP involved, these brothers have to be involved as well. And so that just speaks to what I'm saying, is that it's going to take all of us, you know, to make this movement work. And, you know, we're creating change in the community. You know, folks are aware more than ever that we're calling out injustice in our community. And again, I said again, we're literally troubling the comfortable and comforting the trouble. And that's really what it's all about. And, you know, we're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter who's going to be the face of Tri-City. You know, even if when I pass this baton to this young folk, you know, to whoever, you know, in 2 years, you know, I'm not going nowhere. I'm still going to be there helping with the transition and to continue to make noise. So, you know, in my class this morning, in my communications class this morning, one of the questions that was asked is, what have you given up, you know, to what have you given up to make society better? And then my answer was that I personally gave up my freedom, my security, and my comfort because my very first year as president of the NACP, I got a death threat. So that's what I gave up.
Hey, my man, great job, Mr. Johnicon George, everyone, the president, Tri-City NAACP chapter. He laid out some things as far as the hierarchy, where you can go if you need anything. He answered the questions. Good brother Troy, good brother Shannon, good sister Beatrice. We want to thank you guys for joining us tonight for our third show. Great shout out to Mr. George for joining us. Uh, Side note, he came and showed up on the last minute. I hit him this morning. He was like, "I'm with it. Let's do it." So that shows you his commitment to the community. So we appreciate you, Mr. George, for showing up here and hanging out with us, blessing the mic. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
Right on. Remember, folks, you can find us on our Facebook page, the YouTube page, the Instagram page, LinkedIn. It's the third show, Undivided. Remember, you can find all of us individually also. Again, get involved, be engaged. That's how we get down. So next time, everyone be well. Thank you and have a good night.
Peace.